Alexander, it is so lovely to have you here today on Coffee with the Founder. I know I'm the only one who has the coffee today. You're just going with water. It is late over there in Germany. So thank you for being here. You are co-founder and CEO of, I'm going to say it is, well, United Manufacturing Hub, but it's UMH. Exactly.
Exactly.
And you've been at it at 5+ years. You're doing things in the physical manufacturing space with an open
Yeah.
sourced industrial platform, basically letting manufacturers figure out their factory data so that they can deploy AI and actually automation and things that they're probably desperate so much to do, I would imagine. Tell us more.
Quite right.
Okay.
So actually before, like 5 years sounds quite long, but actually figuring out what the problem was took even longer.
Okay.
Before that, we had a boutique consulting firm, actually straight from uni. We teamed up with a management consulting firm, McKinsey, and they had like a lot of like manufacturing digitalization projects where they advised various customers, or in their language, clients, to actually improve production yields,
But wait a second.
etc.
Wait a second. So you just had come out of school. You're working with a top consulting agency, and you're plopped in there, and you're figuring some things out. Just walk me through this a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, stumbled into it, I would say. There was a quite unique opportunity, I would say.
Yeah.
There was a so-called learning factory. So like McKinsey like coached customers in that factory on how to be more digital in manufacturing, broadly speaking. And from that derived the need of actually implementation work. And then my co-founder, Jeremy, and I were like, I think we were just been there at the right time, actually.
Right time,
even
right
back
place.
then in university as like working students, like helping there, like doing workshops. And do you want to do that? And then I'm not sure who was the dumb person or the brave person on that end, but then we teamed up on various projects. And then we learned actually that there's a lot of things wrong in manufacturing that we're trying to fix now.
Got you. Okay, so what were some of, you said it took a long time to figure out like what the problem was. So let's illuminate some of the problems, which it sounds like it's implementation of these tools, but be more specific.
It doesn't sound that complicated. Yeah, get data from manufacturing. So I assumed, like, as we've been in this project with McKinsey, I just walk in the door, then I ask the plant leadership or whoever, please give me now an excerpt or like the data from the current day on what you produced, what was the scrap rate, and what were actually the top reasons why you didn't produce like more efficiently, and nobody could give me that. And I was like, nobody. And then even with McKinsey inside, it was always like, there's like top pressure on it. Like everybody needs to derive data and needs to like fuel the analytics that they want to do. But even then they could not provide me the numbers, which give me a strong feeling of if I'm just now like somebody in the factory who wants to get the data, I would actually have no chance. Even when we have McKinsey, like no chance.
So that sounds absurd. Like, how do you not know sitting in your own plant? Here's how many widgets I did today. Here's what went wrong. Here's what's going on, etc.
Yeah, because it's so complicated. Like if you imagine like production, it's like like even Tesla like named like when Tesla started production ramp up, they said everything, we will automate everything will be so easy. Then they like figured out it's production health. So everything is implicitly connected to each other and everything is depending on each other and like where materials flow. So it's quite complicated, which like yields a lot of automation and vendors providing certain assets. And this is like a huge spaghetti mess of assets and data sources. And they don't have an API. They are mostly built to actually work, but they have never been like in any way API first. So there's no way mostly to get data out of that, which then like yields the problem of like a heterogeneous production, like a lot of machines, but no layer to just connect them to. And now if you specifically 2026, like problem phrasing would be where now my agents connect to. So like a few years ago, it was like, just basic dashboarding and alerting, like things that you would do back then. But now you have the same issue, but even more fundamental because you want to automate a lot of things with agents, but there is no API for them to connect to, no MCP for production if you want so. So this is what we are trying to build by actually doing the dirty work of the data plumbing before.
Explain it a little bit more on the data plumbing, what you define that as.
Yeah. So it's, I think,
where does it exist, I guess?
Yeah, it's in the factory. So like this was also like a pattern. Everybody pushed everything to the cloud, but the data lives in the factory. So you need to provide like IT would call it local first. Everything needs to be just installed in the factory. And this means connecting to a lot of Siemens and Rockwell and Mitsubishi like interfaces. These are the players that you see in the factory. So like going in and building a lot of protocols. And then secondly, which is I think like also talking AI now very important, contextualizing, because data comes out of the machines. It looks in every shape, form, and color you could imagine. They all look different.
Super unstructured. It's all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So you now need to to get the brain of the people from the production into the data before it leaves the factory, and so that agents can also actually consume and interpret the data. And without that, you fly blind. And this is what we are trying to do with a product. So like data streaming in the back end, everything edge centric. So then with various APIs provide the data to applications, which then build something on top, and which is now very interesting. Not only applications, but users also vibe coding applications on top.
There you go. Yeah. How much, given your intangible industry, manufacturing specifically, and I've been asking this more of founders, how much of your role now is actually being on factory floors, being in the plants where your customers are, versus sitting at your desk all day, coding away, answering emails and doing that? What would you say?
I'm spending too little time at the production floors. I would say this is if you also look manufacturing, it's a so like relationship centric way of working with those people. So be there a lot is actually quite a leverage. So would love to be at the customers, like troubleshoot their problems and advise them on how they do that. But actually like the operational work is actually not dependent of us being there. I would say it's mostly for the relationship aspect, but you can't do it enough. Yeah, being out there, actually experience the problems firsthand to actually also shape the product.
That's what you did when you were at McKinsey. I think is like you only got to starting this because you were there, seeing upfront the promise.
This was very funny. Like there was like these two mid-20 guys, like with like safety hats and like safety shoes, like walking into production with like an N50 mid-60 production manager, and now we're advising him how he should do his job. This was
okay. But let me ask you about that, because isn't that a flex that you have? Because you represent the new technology, and this is what I say to like younger founders: is like use your age as a whole flex and ability.
I would say this is actually like a huge advantage of us being not that old. So like if you would build a product 10, like it's not only us, but it's I think also generation of a product. If you build it 10 years ago, you now have like a stack which is actually not AI centric, which means infrastructure as a code, has a CLI interface, and you can actually like provide data via interfaces on top of it and just not bolt on top of it. So I think now is a crazy good time to outpace people who have been there for 10 years more than you. Because it's just another way on how you build software today.
You said that this industry, of course, is relationship oriented. Being on the floor is important, and mentioning who you're now talking to, advising 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, and so forth. Is there any experience you've had where there's been maybe tension or surprise in that age gap, or in the business of working with people maybe that much older?
Oh, I would say, I think I'm always super positively surprised. It's not necessarily like a function of age, I would say. Like, yes, there's like a tendency of the younger people actually exposing themselves more to technologies like Claude or whatever, but they are actually like mid-50-year people who are already using Claude. I think they're now almost like one of the most experienced customers of us is actually already personally on 1K a month tokens, personally on actually vibe coding applications on top of our data, and he's actually mid-40. So I think it's not a function of age necessarily, but actually of curiosity that you really want to excite the people again about something.
Okay. And how have you found it now? You're 5+ years in, you've been hammering away at this project, company, this startup. You've hired some people, of course. How are you feeling overall at like 5 years in now?
Very, very optimistic, I would say. The timing is perfect. So it was a hard to figure out problem with like, how do you solve it technically, organizationally, and from the product perspective? But we see now like a huge influx on like the growth side, if you would say so, because the manufacturing is normally not a place where you easily exchange software. So like everything needs to be at least, normally the rule of thumb is 10x. I would say in manufacturing is 100x. Needs to be better, cheaper, more flexible. Because the cost of changing something there is so huge.
Huge, yeah.
But now we have actually these huge influx of application developments, of actually the architecture on a customer side is changing rapidly currently. And this is like a perfect storm for us actually changing how you interact with data on the shop floor. And yeah, so we have like various partnerships also ongoing with large ERP companies, like from Germany also. So there is huge demand for what we are doing. So I'm very positive on that.
And you take that as a sign of just the moment we're in industry-wise in AI that has set the sail for maybe companies to go like, okay, oh, we can actually do something and this is the time and you guys are it.
I would say it's a lucky combination of actually this was a problem even before AI. So
Yes,
it's not something that is just legitimized by AI.
Yeah.
But you can now supercharge it. So now people actually over the last few years actually got themselves around their heads around this is a problem. Data management and manufacturing is a problem. We need to fix it. And now we can actually combine it with you can, and now you can actually argue it very good on what the benefits are. And what you could actually do way faster with it. So very positive.
Makes sense. Okay. Your co-founder. Let's talk a little bit about him. So you were working together. You were in school together, and then you were at McKinsey, going around the factory floors.
Yeah. So Jeremy is, I think, meeting him was actually one of the best things ever happened to me personally. But I
love that. I hope he listens to this. Perfect. Okay, so why? I mean, having your co-founder and being like, "This is my person."
I think we actually Jeremy is a very, very structured person. Like he thinks 5 to 7 steps ahead. This is a very complex problem actually to derive the right architecture and the right patterns early is so important. And he's very into the trenches on that. So I think we complement each other quite. I'm also a technical person, but I'm also leaning then more on the communication and also trying to sell it and relationship building.
Yeah.
And this is a very, very good combination. And Jeremy also positioned himself as a quite thought leader in the industry. So he's like a huge blog writer, and everybody, a lot of people are actually listening up to him. So yeah, very cool to have Jeremy on board now.
Oh, I love that. And was it he or was it you who said officially, yeah, we got to do this? Do you want to do a startup?
I would say I would love to say that this is a big bang moment of now we need to do it. But
sometimes I think it's not. It's more of just here we are.
And it was creeping up. Yeah. So we had this system integrator business, like the service company where we just sold our time and made some project money on that.
Yeah.
But then it like evolved of we have a problem. It just it got louder, the voices in our head that we need to solve that. And then we at a certain point said, okay, let's now stop selling our time because we actually didn't felt that we have now enough leverage. So like selling your time is nice, but you kept your capabilities and your resources. And then we thought about how we can actually maximize our output or like our impact on the industry. And then we did 2 things, founding the company, and then secondly, actually putting it open source because we really believed something was broken. So open source is a huge distribution anchor.
That was my next question. Thanks for teeing it up on why the open source component, because that's just, here it is. Anyone could take it, use it, modify it, and so forth. It seems a little counter to a profitable oriented company.
I think the first intuition was actually pure frustration. So when we are technical people, so we are we know how you can actually build software or build products in IT. You have like easy access to technologies like databases, message streaming, operating system. Everything is easily accessible, validatable, but you can then also like opt into like an enterprise offering on top, but you're not held back by technology. In manufacturing, it's the extreme opposite. You can't get the product into your hands without talking to 2 to 4 weeks with a random salesperson who has actually no clue.
Yes, no idea.
And this was so frustrating for us that we say, okay, there must be more people like us out there.
So like,
get it out there and have a clear, but we were also not like just altruistic from the beginning. We said, okay, we need to have a clear go-to-market motion on top of that, how we can actually like monetize it. And so this is also what a lot of open source project gets wrong, like get adoption first and then try to monetize it later, which then also is like in a huge conflict. But we, from day one, always had this dual motion.
That's good. Now you're hiring right now, according to your website. What is your view on the pace of hiring, the need for hiring, etc., as we sit in this AI world where it's like, oh, well, can't 4 people build a $100 million company in two weeks?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that right now.
Yeah, this is like crazy times. I would say the demand for high quality people increased. I would say the general like all headcount demand, I would say is different than a few years ago, but people have now way more leverage. So either like on the sales side, people who are very good in relationship and empathy, they are in high demand because can leverage them with so much tooling that they don't need to have like sales admin work. This can be now completely eradicated to zero. And on the other hand, like product engineers don't need to code, more or less. So they just need to like build products or problems.
Yeah.
And therefore they need to be like very, very product and problem centric people, which are like the least of the engineers out there. So this is, I would say, harder to find very good people, but in all you can actually achieve way more with less people.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that the quality bar has gone up so high, the quantity has gone down, but anything with scarcity is harder to find. Yeah. So it's harder to find the quality type of people, which I think is why it's a field day for recruiters and talent hunters and people who can actually make those relationships happen, because you're dealing with smaller and smaller pools versus, I got to hire 200 engineers in the next 6 months. They could be B minuses. It's kind of like fill the seats. So I think it's a very exciting time, especially as it relates to those who come more with the soft skills. I really don't like the soft skills, but EQ and flexing on relationships and reading the room and so forth, which is ever more valuable.
It's so hard to hire. Like if you,
it is.
Like I'm also a little bit frustrated about like headhunting in general because they are screening CVs. Yes. People have this tech stack and this experience, and sellers had this and their jobs are writing about medic in their CV. But actually, the real differentiators are always soft skills, and like they flood your inbox with like theoretically highly capable people, but there is no robust way of like getting like people with the right soft skills on there. Why we actually launched like a.
I was going to say, how are you solving this, or how do you think about it?
Yeah, I think the open source community is different. So we are open source, and I think people actually like way more intrigued to actually help you with finding the right people if they are. Like, for example, we have a 10K bonus for every recommendation you get away for an open source project, not to your personal pocket, but if you like point somebody away who is very capable and we hire, you can 10K directly to the open source project of choice. And I think this is like motivating the right people for the right cause, people who have an impact and have like a community. And this is our assumption on how to solve that.
Yeah, we'll see, right? Yeah. That's great, though, because then you're getting real people referring real people. I've seen more and more models kind of play with this, because especially in the age of, did you just have a bot fluff up your resume? Are you even a person? I've heard some wild stories of you think you hired someone and another person shows up. You're like, what? Who is this? I mean, it's a crazy time out there, to say the 100%. Least. Alexander, to wrap us up here for today, what have you recently changed your mind on?
Changed my mind on?
Yes.
I would say the most wrong thing, or like the most, I think what say is actually on the product side. I think everybody's currently like reaching on like more AI features. Everybody's saying AI-centric products where you have now chatbots in the product. And I think the best thing that we now currently learned is actually taking a step back and actually going to IT best practices where agents can now work on. So, for example, just to make it more concrete, everybody is currently just a short product thing, but everybody was hyping about MCP. Then you have like these huge, or like some security like inconsistencies, scalability inconsistencies, and we're now taking a step back to going to best practices. So we are now providing CLIs to the tool, but this is a more product-centric thing. On the go-to-market side, I actually underestimated the amount of personal relationship that is needed, and we are, I think, going all in on this now. But this is draining also resources, but I think it's the best use of time, specifically in the AI side, to go again away from automation and going back to like personal and relationship building.
Listen, one of the best things I say to the team is show up, go in person, shake the hand, see the person eye to eye.
This is something that you can't, as every automation will die sooner or later. Email is dead. everybody was like outreach on LinkedIn, which is also nearly dead.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
And things that you can't automate, like going there, because it's fucking a lot of work.
It is.
You need to go all in on this now. Yeah.
Flex. That's the flex. Showing up in person, being there in the flesh. Yeah. I think it's personally exciting. And what a time if you're in hospitality, travel, etc., and anything that's in the tangible. Obviously, you're in the tangible as it relates to manufacturing, but in the tangible of how do you create the spaces that make connections happen and all this good stuff. So I'm personally excited for it, Alexander. This 100%. Is great. Well, thank you for being on today. Alexander Krüger. I didn't say it the full German way, so you pronounce it for me, Alexander.
Krüger, like it's
Krüger, yes. Co-founder and CEO of UMH, which is United Manufacturing Hub, making stuff get in the world, frankly, across manufacturing places, all in the world. I know you're very Europe focused right now, but increasingly across the world. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for being on tonight, Alexander. I know it's later over there for you.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, we are hiring. So if somebody is interested into like going all in on manufacturing, we're here.
There you go. Are you an in-person place? Like you got to show up in person for offices, or you have distributed teams?
Yeah, this correlates to my last learning. Yes, we are in person.
In person. Okay, if you're hopping in over in Germany, then there you go. Perfect. Let that be known on this podcast. Excellent, Alexander. Thank you.
Thank you.